Last week, I walked you through the first half of the Sketchbook tour and explained how you can approach filling it without setting any rules. This week, I am showing you the rest of it and talking about the how and why behind every page, the cheat codes and the tricks you can use when you feel rusty, uninspired, or overwhelmed. No stress, no performance pressure. Remember that a sketchbook is a sketchbook, not a gallery. Your pages don't have to be perfect. In fact, embrace imperfection. Exploring negative painting patterns like stripes, pages that do show that imperfection also show growth. They are very often the ones that put that next rung in the learning ladder. Very often we find exploration boring and want to dive straight into finished paintings. And while that is fine, it will also leave a gap in our skills. So embrace what you might consider ugly pages and you'll thank them later. Master studies. Last week I showed you one inspired by Matisse and there are more in the sketchbook. We do them quite regularly over on Patreon, just trying to see how great artists observe the world around them. It's a powerful learning experience. It gives you something to paint or draw when you're feeling uninspired, and it shows you that these art geniuses very often chose simplification. A sketchbook is a place to test new materials or even old ones that you've rediscovered. I'm lucky enough to very often get sent paints to test, and I love opening up my sketchbook and jumping into my comfort zone, expressive watercolour portraits, to see how the paints work, if there's some colour that sparks joy, how transparent they are, how they layer. For me, really, it's just an excuse to put the AirPods in and listen to a podcast while painting. It's just something that I absolutely love and takes me away from the world for an hour or two. It's my safe space and something I always look forward to. So think of that thing that you love doing and do it. Give yourself permission to feel that joy. Even if it's simply swatching your paints, do it anyway. On the other page, I painted wet in wet, literally in puddles without ever drying the paper all the way through. As you can see, the portrait is far from perfect, but I enjoyed this experiment a lot. So we go back to that experiment. Experimentation is always a learning lesson, no matter the outcome. Don't make it all about one material unless you really are only interested in that single medium. For me, the joy lies in painting, but I also like to keep my sketching skills honed, and I know that to do that, I need to practice. I can tell you here that the only thing that lies behind good sketching is consistency and practice, and anyone can do it with that simple key. I never used to use my watercolour sketchbooks for freehand drawing, but now I feel confident enough to do it. And I love using erasable coloured pencils to draw people and animal portraits in them. Also, sometimes it's okay to leave spreads unfinished. In fact, it's okay anytime. And again, I experiment with things I wouldn't try outside my sketchbook in a finished painting in a single sheet of paper. And in this case, it was blending the coloured pencils with a wet wipe. And I really like the effect. We practice all these things in my online community on Patreon by co-sketching every week and painting with watercolours in guided sessions. And we do it both live and recorded. It is really a fun place to try and find consistency in your art making with a group of like-minded people who love to do the same things as you. So if you'd like to join, all levels are welcome, and you'll find a link in the description box below this video, as well as the link to my new Skillshare class. Now let's go on with the sketchbook. That thing you'd love to paint or draw, but you feel you are just not very good at. For me, it's florals. I am drawn to them, but I just can't hack them. Sometimes I get happy accidents, most times I don't. But even the ones that don't turn out great are good enough for a sketchbook because you can close it and no one has to see. If you like your result, take notes on that same page of what you think you did right. If you're painting, for example, what colours you used, what the consistency of the paint was, so you'll remember next time you tackle that subject. And if you really are displeased with your result, make it the minor character, make it the decoration. I haven't done that here, but I have sometimes added other subjects to a spread. A portrait, an animal, a series of sketches of plain objects like teapots, cups, or, I don't know, a framed landscape. If landscapes are something you enjoy. This way the eye travels around the page rather than focusing on one of the elements alone. It becomes a more satisfying experience, especially to your own very critical eye. I'm not saying do this, but I know how harsh we can be on ourselves. So if it makes us feel better, then why not take this approach? What can I say about this page? I love bringing features out of watery paint, starting loose and building up to tighter areas of focus. There is a whole video about this one here on YouTube from a few weeks ago, so if you want to check out how I do that, just scroll back a little and you'll find it. It's an easy approach where you can stop at 3 different stages, and it's super beginner friendly because I also provide the sketch outline for you to trace below the video, and you can follow along and stop at step 1, 2 or 3. Which actually brings me to another point. I have been painting in the same sketchbooks, Balhong and Etcher, for a long time, so I really feel comfortable in them. They have become so familiar to me. So familiarise yourself with your sketchbook. Don't keep trying new ones if you find one that you like. Stick with it and it will make a lot of difference in a good way. And this is an example of one of our guided painting sessions over on Patreon, guided by me, that is. We very often do portraits, human and animal, or we contribute reference images we like, so everyone is happy. I know that looking at watercolour portraits makes many people think that's too hard. But it's guided in a simple step-by-step manner, and questions can be asked throughout the process, as well as the sketch outline being provided. Even people with very little experience can follow along and have a satisfying result. That's what my patrons say, and that is what I see with my own eyes. I really love the vertical format of this one, so another tip is to play with the format of your sketchbook. Try using it vertically and see how it affects your composition. More swatching. Swatching will always fill a blank page and teach you something new every single time, believe me. It's the most underrated exercise. Here I used pastel watercolours, which to me behave more like gouache. The whole two spreads were an experiment and a bit of a comparison too. I learned how to use them a bit better, but I still think I much prefer traditional transparent watercolours. So again, we go back to testing. Test colour palettes, test colours, test brush or pencil strokes or felt tip pen, brush tips, whatever. And you can get some beautiful results that are a joy to look at because of the texture they create and the harmony or the rainbow of colours. And we're almost at the end of the sketchbook. I won't deny that for some reason I tend to leave the last page blank and I don't feel bad about it. I had another sketchbook waiting, another Baohong, and I didn't want to travel with a sketchbook with one page left in it. But it's not the first time I've done it, and if you do that too, don't feel bad. Maybe you've just started a new cycle. You've come to the end of one and need to start a new one. I also sometimes stick drawings that I did on scrap pieces of paper in my sketchbook. And at the end, on this one, 4 watercolour skies I'd painted on watercolour postcards. I would probably have lost them if I hadn't stuck them in here. So feel free to bring work you did elsewhere inside your sketchbook. Not only will you give it a home, but you will have filled in another page. That's all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye for now.